No. Don't do it. Oh. This is Interesting to See, your daily sports podcast, news, narratives, takes, and gambling. I apologize for the listeners among you. I'll go through that video without sound and walk you through what just happened. Like, rate, review, subscribe. Talk about some stuff today, including Cincinnati. Got a statement from the racist situation that happened in Jacksonville for the ECHL hockey team. But let's talk about this video. So this is a Jumbotron thing at the Sixers game. The Sixers guys playing blackjack against the Sixers mascot, which is the worst mascot in Philly. I don't know what it is, but it's not Gritty or the Fanatic. So he's playing blackjack, and I'll just tell you the situation. Let me put my spectacles on here. So he's playing against the mascot, and it's a Parks Casino blackjack ad. And the purpose of this ad is to make people think it's easy to win at blackjack, like, obviously. So the dealer's showing a 7. I don't know if you know how blackjack works. You got to get to 21 or stay under 21 and beat the dealer's situation. And if you get to 21 or over, if you get 21, that's good. If you get over 21, you bust. So this guy's got an 8, and then a 5, and then a 4, and then a 3. 8 plus 5 is 13, plus 7 is 20. So the guy's like, he's just all confused. I think he's just really nervous. He's like, what do you want to do, hit or stay? And then the mascot's like, what? You don't? No. And then he gets a 10. Great lesson to be learned there from Parks Casino. Gambling is for the casino. It's not for you. Speaking of gambling, we had the biggest win I've ever seen. This guy parlayed. I should have done this. I mean, I just get so jealous of these. Parlays are stupid, and they only lose money. This guy had a $20 parlay. I'll bring it up on the screen for you. On FanDuel, which allows you to bet on specific scores. So you can pick the score and pick the game. The guy got it right. He bet $20, and he made $500,000. $579,000. Every now and then, these places, like, this is tweeted out by Bleacher Report, courtesy of FanDuel Sportsbook. So FanDuel Sportsbook, they tweeted this out. And what they do, these sports books, what they do is they tweet this shit out. Be like, look, you can win $500,000 on a $20 bet. They made like probably $20 million this weekend off of losers who didn't hit parlays, including myself. I think I did come out on top over the weekend, though. We'll get into a gambling preview for the Super Bowl at a later date. You can bet on the Pro Bowl. Things like the Pro Bowl and the preseason football, there's a lot of money to be made there because no one knows what's going to be happening for the most part within the game and who's going to play. Shouts to my boy Jonah Jackson, Detroit Lions left guard, going to the Pro Bowl. All right, let's get into some actual news now. I guess we can start with some hunky-dory stuff first. I love the internet. It's amazing. I love when people are on the same page on the internet. So, for example, Brian Daboll, who was the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills for the last 2 or 3 seasons, really made Josh Allen a thing. He was hired by the Giants. The Giants also hired the Bills' assistant GM. So it's a bunch of simpatico stuff. The Bills' assistant GM is going to the Giants, and he's bringing along his offensive coordinator, which is great because Daboll figured out Josh Allen, who had a long way to go when he got there. Now he's, like, in my opinion, the best quarterback in the NFL. I said it. I am actually not joking. And a part of it is that he can run so well. Well, Daniel Jones is actually much faster than Josh Allen, and he's got a big arm. He's got some problems holding on to the ball, throw some interceptions. I love the hire. It's a great deal. Well, Daboll from Buffalo, he's a truck guy. He's from the Belichick and Saban tree. He was the offensive coordinator for one of the teams that annihilated everybody at Alabama. This dude drove from Buffalo to New Jersey. Across the state of New York, he's got this really gross blue. It's one of those Fords that says Ford on it. I forget what they're called. It's like the Sport F-150. It's a nice truck. The blue is gross, but I guess, it's Bills blue and Giants blue. Oh, that's annoying. I just figured that out. So here he is, getting out of the truck. Look at him. He's all muscly. That's great. Well, this one guy on the internet, and you can't see it, he put this to it. And this is a guy getting out of his truck in a buttoned suit. The suit is buttoned in the truck, so he must have buttoned it for the cameras. He's buttoned in the truck. You can see him get out of there right there with his little briefcase thing. It's like a leather bag. All right. Someone remixed this. This is incredible. Are we ready? Getting out of the truck, walking into the building, and action. Oh. Oh, my God. That is so funny. He's just waddling his way to court. He looks like a lawyer, though. He does not look like he's a defendant. But that's not how the People's Court works, as all of you know. That's not how it works. You got to defend yourself. Okay. Let's do football stuff. So Cincinnati probably should have lost the game, it turns out. Sort of. I disagree with people. There's a big fight happening on Twitter and with whatever else. So in the Bengals-Chiefs game in overtime, I think it was something like 1st and 10 from the 25. The Bengals are in McPherson's field goal range. It would be about a 49 to 50 yarder, and they're going to run the ball. I guess we could bring it up on YouTube for those of you that care. They're going to run the ball, right? Wait, should we do YouTube? Oh, we can do Twitter. Sure. So they're going to run the ball up the middle. Joe Mixon runs the ball, and he gets the yardage. You can see it right here. But what happens is he trips over his own offensive lineman, and he throws the ball on the ground. So you see Mixon, he cuts through the hole right there, and then he trips over his own guy. No one touches him at this point, and he thinks he's down, so he just chucks the ball on the ground. Now, this is a really interesting debate situation because in the NFL, you can give yourself up. If you catch the ball and you fall on the ground and you just stay there, you can just declare yourself down. It's a safety thing. If you want to be down, you're down. And so he does that. Kind of. He thought he was down, so he just chucked the ball on the ground, and then Kansas City picked it up, and Andy Reid wanted them to review it, but because he was ruled that he had been declared down, you can't review that thing. I'm kind of on the side of declaring down. Like, look, I guess we can, like, this angle is much better. Here he comes, he falls, and then he just plops the ball on the ground like he's celebrating. And, I mean, that's declaring yourself down as far as I'm concerned. But people are a little bit more stringent when this kind of thing happens in the end zone, but that's not declaring yourself down. You know, when people will drop the ball before they go in the end zone. Famously, Utah did that against Oregon in 2014, and it changed the history of college football. But I think he declares himself down. He's on the ground. He thinks he's down, and then he just, like, throws the ball on the ground. I don't think it's controversial at all. But people are getting into it, so you can talk about that if you'd like. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals in the city of Cincinnati. So I was in Philadelphia when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And I can tell you that in Philadelphia, the Catholic Church runs the schools, and if they decide there's not going to be school, there's not going to be school. So for the Super Bowl parade, the Catholic Church in Philly canceled school. They had canceled school for some other things, including a really intense storm. When the Pope visited, a bunch of things were shut down. Cincinnati hasn't been to the Super Bowl or won a playoff game in 31 years. Subsequently, those things do align. They have canceled school the day after the Super Bowl. Cannot tell you how smart that is. Just you don't want kids on public transportation at 7 a.m. the day after the Super Bowl, especially if your team wins. I think my general take, and I'm just starting to look at this, I think the Rams are going to win by many, many points. I think we are in for another boring Super Bowl, 2 boring Super Bowls in a row. That's just my take. These upsets are fun. There aren't a lot of guys in the Bengals that would start for the Rams. I've 22-22. We'll get into that later in the week, but there just aren't. But Cincinnati, closed public schools. Got to respect that. All right, we'll keep it in the NFL for right now. Josh McDaniels said something really intelligent, way too intelligent for a Bill Belichick coaching tree guy. He was in Denver. He went 11-17. He famously ran Jay Cutler out of town, and then he drafted Tim Tebow like 30 rounds too early, and then he gave Tebow, some momentum, and then Denver had to deal with Tebow and Brady Quinn. It was a whole thing. He acknowledges his mistake. Quote, when I went to Denver, I knew a little bit of football. I didn't really know people and how important that aspect of the process and maintaining the culture in the building was, and I failed. I didn't succeed at it. Looking at the experience has been one of the best things in my life. I'm kind of impressed by that, to be honest with you. Good for him. I think that's been the biggest problem. Like Bill O'Brien in Houston was a great coach, terrible people person. Matt Patricia was a bad coach, but an even worse people person, which makes it bad. Robert Flores just got fired from Miami because he wasn't a people person. They don't like dealing with him, and that's part of it. At the end of the day, this is a business. This isn't college. You can't just be God. Ironic, though, that Sean McVay is in the Super Bowl right now, which, get this, a Sean McVay coaching tree, which includes Cliff Kingsbury, went to the playoffs. Zach Taylor is in the Sean McVay coaching tree. He's in the Super Bowl. Matt LaFleur is in the Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay coaching tree. He had the number 1 seed in the NFC. Mike LaFleur is the offensive coordinator of the Jets, who the head coach is from the Kyle Shanahan when Pete Carroll coaching tree. All of these guys are the McVay coaching tree. And Sean McVay has been the coach of the Rams since 2016. Is that right? When did I work at the NFL? That was when he was introduced. 2017 season. And he's got way more successful coaching tree than Belichick by far. Crazy. Just crazy how it goes. That just goes to show you the Patriot way works for the Patriots. It does not work for anybody else. Okay, let's get to some other news that's annoying, and I don't really like talking about some of this stuff, but we're going to do it anyway. The first thing I want to talk about is RIP to the Utah Jazz. Joe Ingles, their knockout, male pattern, balding Australian sharpshooter. He tore his ACL, which is a bummer. The Jazz are such a great organization at winning basketball games. They're never going to win anything of substance just because they're always missing, the next Karl Malone. Like Donovan Mitchell is really good. This shooting guy that they got at the end of the first round. End of the first round? Top of the second. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. He's not in the top 10, which is where most good players are. The Ingles and Rudy Gobert, they're a really good team. They're a good organization. They always have good coaches. They've got good development, all this stuff going on, but they're just never going to win anything because they don't have Kawhi or LeBron or Durant or whatever. And those guys don't want to go there because it's Salt Lake City. But it's a sad situation. They're sort of like, honestly, they're like the Spurs, but what if the Spurs just didn't win the last series of the year? They're really good. It's a good organization. RIP to their season. That's going to be tough. And if they're lucky, they'll be in the lottery. They should lose out. And if the NHL skills competition is going to be in Vegas, so what they're going to do, this is going to be silly, but I guess it'll be fun. These guys are so skilled. I don't know why they're going to make them dress up for this, but there's going to be a sharpshooting thing where they will stand, and I guess I'll bring this up. They're going to stand at this platform, and this platform is going to be facing this wall that sort of looks like not the Price is Right, but Wheel of Fortune wall, and you have to get the best poker hand, which for these guys, honestly, might be boring. I think that they are all going to get it. You have to make it tougher, otherwise they're just going to stand there and get it. But I guess it'll be interesting. I don't know. Seems like one of those things where you just do it because it seems like what you should be doing. I don't know. The NHL All-Star, I'm actually not 100% sure. I think it comes soon. NHL All-Star Weekend 2022. It is, this weekend, Saturday, February 5th, which is a good time to have it because the Pro Bowl is also happening, and I think the Pro Bowl is also happening in Vegas. So, that'll be fun. What a good weekend to be in Vegas for the NHL All-Star Weekend and the Pro Bowl. That'll be cool. I'd be into that. All right, so let's do some hockey news. So I'm not going to read this statement in their entirety. But we talked about the racist, the monkey gestures that were being made to black players in back-to-back days in minor league hockey systems. One apology included an example wherein the player said, "I had been calling him a tough guy, and I didn't mean it that way, and I apologize that it was conceived that way. I didn't mean it that way at all." The other guy was very clearly racist. But the guy that happened in Jacksonville, whose brother is, or who the black man who was essentially taunted, is the brother of a very famous player, PK Subban. So in the Jacksonville situation with Jordan Subban, the Jacksonville team has come out and backed this guy. And this is after this intense lens of scrutiny on this situation because of the back-to-back racial incidents that have happened. And the Spit and Chicklets guys and the NHL guys on TNT, everybody's talking about this. It's incredibly important. Being a black hockey player has to be one of the toughest things to do in American sports. It must be incredibly difficult. So the guy's name is Jacob Panetta of South Carolina, or he's of Jacksonville, and Jordan Subban plays for South Carolina. The hockey players came out and backed Jordan and said that wasn't racist. But so we got to figure this out. We got to figure out what is and isn't racist, and if they're backing him, I don't think that's an end-all, be-all, but I think if Jordan feels good about it, then I feel good about it. And it's part of the experience that Jordan goes on. I think in the heat of the moment, Jordan was really mad. I don't know. If Jordan feels like he was racially taunted, then that's how he feels, and this is a much more intricate conversation. But the really annoying part of this is that this has become a debate that's really nice, and we have to figure this out as a people. But of course, the situation that happened a day or two earlier, I think in Texas or somewhere, was far worse, and that was actually racist. So now we have a precedent, but what do we do with the precedent? Hockey's a little late on this conversation, but it's good to have this. It's definitely good to have this. I think that you'll notice if you watch hockey, there are not a lot of black men in the NHL. The majority of black men in the NHL are Canadian or from the North, of course, except for Seth Jones, who's from Texas. And that's really cool. But for the most part, these black men are from Canada, and the racial situation in Canada, while not good, is far better than the United States. And the hockey, if you want to make real money at it, you play probably as an adult in the United States. And so, it's a very delicate thing. And, Jordan Subban's in the South, where that behavior is probably enabled for teammates and competitors. It's no disrespect to the South, but it's true. Actually, I think the Midwest is a little bit more racist. But That's just been my experience. So this is a whole thing that we got to pay attention to. I'm kind of interested to see how this plays out. I'm hoping that this leads to some progress, and if Jordan Subban gets on a podium that he wants to be on and says, this is how I feel and this is what we should do, and Jordan Panetta has his hat in his hand and it's like, I didn't really think that it could be that way, and the difference between privilege and advantage and things like that, I think is hopefully good will come out of this. I'll be very clear. This is the most important part of this for me. Like, these guys, Jordan Subban has sniffed the NHL a couple times. I don't know anything about Jacob Panetta, but if they're playing in this league, and the reason why this is so important, I think, is because if they're playing in this league, they're never going to the NHL. Like, probably ever. So this is a real grassroots thing that can, possibly have some sort of impact at the highest level. And it should encourage people like Jordan to express when they're angry and start a conversation and all that other bullshit. But if the players are coming out and backing him, this Jordan Panetta or this Jacob Panetta guy, then there's more to discuss here, and you need experts to weigh in and all of that kind of stuff. But that's a story we are keeping track of here at Interesting to See, and I appreciate you letting me just bullshit there for a moment. Jim Harbaugh, the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, will be headed to Minnesota to take another interview with the Minnesota Vikings tomorrow. Michigan fans are subsequently freaking out, obviously, which is hilarious. He got over the hump, and he's going to leave town. Well, that's going to do it for today. I'll be back and better than ever tomorrow morning. Like, rate, review, subscribe, etc., etc.